Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second edition of the Charlie India Talk Sports Show. Again, we're in the Batcave here. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate you guys that listened to the first episode and watched it, and I appreciate that. Hope you stick with it, and we're going to try to do this thing about every weekend or so, put out a show just talking about what's going on in sports. Thanks again for watching. Let's get to one of my favorite sports right off the bat, baseball. Baseball is about to start its 5,000 plus game season, and I would love to know the genius math logic that came up with, not 120 or 200, but we need 162 games to make a season. But before the games even begin, all these 5,000 plus games, if you do the math, one of the sport's biggest names is in the news. Alex Rodriguez has come on and apologized for everything from missing last season to taking performance enhancing drugs to his choice of clothes and the meals he eats and on and on and on. Now we know that Rodriguez took steroids. He's admitted it. And we also know that the league is and was full of players that did the same thing. All right. So as much as we crap on Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and Sammy, the baseball been Betty Gould to me Sosa, we kind of should be giving these guys a little bit of praise for help building up a sport that was dying on the vine. I didn't care about baseball. I'd lost my interest after a couple of the strikes they had, and then all of a sudden Sosa and McGwire come along. Even I got caught back up into that stuff, and it got it back to where I at least pay attention to the sport every once in a while. But before you give me well, since they were juicing, their records must have an asterisk by them crap, let me ask you this. If you think the hitting records should have an asterisk, what about the pitching records? I mean, if the hitters were doing it, makes you think for a second the pitchers weren't doing it as well. I mean, let's face it, when something as simple as 2 or 3 miles an hour on your fastball is the difference between a Hall of Fame career and the minor leagues, and when you're armed with the knowledge that most of the hitters that you're facing are going to be, using the performance enhancing drugs, if you were a pitcher, why wouldn't you be juicing up like a fat chick with a New Year's resolution to lose 20 pounds? I mean, just doesn't make sense that you wouldn't be doing it as well. So if you challenge one, challenge the other. Now, having said all that nonsense, the point of the discussion is this. If you were a good athlete and needed just a little bit more, a little tweak to be a great player, playing for fame, playing for fortune, fans cheering your name, would you take steroids? I know it's illegal. I know that it's considered cheating and that the long-term effects on your body are going to be bad. But to know that no matter how hard you trained or how hard you worked, this isn't a Rocky movie, this is real life. No matter how hard you trained, how hard you worked, you'd never be quite good enough. Not that you're not good, but not quite good enough. And here sits a drug that sends you over the top, get you on the field, get you into the game, get you on TV, get you that big contract. Would you do it? I love basketball. Have played basketball most of my life. Even at the ripe old age of 50. I miss those days. But even at the ripe old age of 50, I could play against my stud high school stepsons and win and beat them. And they were in high school, you know. And of course, they could play the next day and I couldn't. But I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Unfortunately, even with my love of basketball and the marginal amount of ability that I had, I'm just not tall. Uh, so it's always been one of the things, besides that, can't jump. Those kind of things held me back. But I mean, in my teens or 20s, if someone had come along and said, Charlie, here's a shot. All you gotta do is take this shot, and it's going to take you from where you are to 6 feet 6 inches tall. And here's the deal, though: it's going to destroy your knees. It's going to hurt your liver. You're probably going to die 15 years sooner than you would have if you don't take this. I'd have taken it in a second. I wouldn't have looked back, wouldn't have given it a second thought. So, in that vein, before you give me the sanctity of the game soapbox speech, how about taking a second look at McGuire and Sosa and even A-Rod? Maybe giving them a break a little bit. However, I still don't like Barry Bonds. Let's talk a little NASCAR now. I know you love the racing. The Daytona 500 was a couple weeks ago, was a week and a half ago. Yesterday they had the Atlanta race. I'd love to talk about racing in the sense that I'd love to be talking about in the Daytona 500 with 3 laps left to go. The top 20 cars were all within a half a second of the leader. That's how close this race was. I'd love to talk that it was the beginning of the Jeff Gordon retirement run. I'd love to talk about how Jimmy Johnson, my favorite racer, new leader 48, won in Atlanta yesterday, but I can't. I can't because not only are we going to deal with sports on this show, we're going to deal with some of the issues, and sometimes sports generates issues that aren't involved in the sport itself. So having said that, let me say that what this conversation is going to be about briefly is one of NASCAR's biggest names is in the news, Kurt Busch. Not for anything that he did on the track, but he's been suspended indefinitely for allegedly having domestic violence. He allegedly choked his girlfriend. Now, since this is only our second show, you don't know me that well. I hope that you get to know me better. I hope I get to know you better. But right now, I'm going to explain to you why this is such a hot button issue for me. And I'm going to mix up verb tenses and person tenses and all that kind of stuff. And I don't care. You're just going to have to deal with it because this is my story. And in fact, I don't even need to do this because this is my story. A 10-year-old Charlie India watched a man put his fist up against my mother's mouth and dare her to call out for her sons. But what could I do? I was 10, except get angry and let that anger build. Then an 11-year-old Charlie India watched the same man, we called him Dad, put his hands and hit my brothers. But what could I do? I was only 11. A 12-year-old Charlie India sat in church on Sunday with a black eye that I'd received Saturday night from the man who was walking up to accept a Father of the Year award at my church. 13-year-old Charlie India said enough's enough. And the next time that man put his hands on my brothers, I beat his ass. And that was the last time that man touched my brothers, my mother, or me. So when I saw that Ray Rice video, it made me want to puke. It made me sick to my stomach. He didn't just hit that woman, he knocked her completely stone cold, unconscious out. And when he did it, did he bend down to check to see if she was okay? Did he look like he was even surprised that this had happened? No, he wasn't surprised. He didn't care. He picked her up, dragged her candy ass out, and dropped her in the middle of a hallway. Ladies, I don't know if any women are listening to this, but I hope some of you are. If you're in a relationship where physical abuse is happening and it's coming your way, get out. No excuses, no whining. You don't understand. Oh, baby, I understand. Get out. Take your kids and get out. And if you have kids, oh, he's a good father. No, he's not, because I'm telling you what's going to happen. Eventually, that shit's going to come down on those kids. No, it won't. Yes, it will. I saw a woman leave a man when she had 5 little kids of her own. All right? I have 4 brothers. Figure out the math of who it was. Get out. That's the only way you're ever going to be safe. Just get out. Men, if you are with a woman that makes you so insanely crazy that your only response is to put hands on her in anger, get out. Walk away. Leave. Don't let yourself be put in that position. Just get away. You cannot, as a man, put your hands on a woman in anger. You can't. And if you do, shut up. There are no excuses, no reasons, no stories. Charlie, you don't understand. I don't give a shit. Don't do it. It's not her fault. She didn't ask for it. She didn't have it coming. She didn't deserve it. It's on you. And if you're the kind of coward and weakling, and other words that we're not going to use on this show because I'm trying to keep it family oriented a little bit, it's on you. It's on you. Don't do it. Be a man. You always talk about being a man. I protect my people. Well, then how about protecting the woman that you're with? How about protecting her? How about protecting yourself? Do that by getting away. Get out of that situation. Make it to where it doesn't happen. If you're not there, nobody gets knocked out in an elevator. If you're not there, these situations don't happen. And Mrs. Rice, let me tell you one thing. I know why you stayed with him. I get that. But sooner or later, it's going to happen again. Please, sister, be careful. Take care of yourself. Get out. Get out. There's no reason for it. There never will be. Did I ever forgive my dad? No. I know that my opinion doesn't matter, but will I ever forgive Ray Rice? No. I'll never be a Ray Rice fan. And because of that, he will inevitably end up playing for my Dolphins. I hope he never plays another down in the NFL. So there's no excuse for what he did ever. And although nothing's been proven against Kurt Busch, that's for them to decide. I wasn't there. It's none of my business other than I wasn't a big fan of his to begin with. And this has done nothing to change that. I'm not a fan now. How about we lighten things up just a little bit? Sorry about that. These things got to be talked about. They've got to be addressed. Let's go to the NBA. The NBA is in full swing. A lot of things going on. A lot of games happening. A lot of teams, are in it. Some teams aren't. Just a quick blurb. The Denver Nuggets are so far out of it that they ended a huddle with 1, 2, 3, 6 weeks. That's all we got to put up with this crap. Like, really? Come on now. Or maybe they're going to make a playoff run. I don't know. But those are the kind of things. It's just a lot of stuff going on. Trade deadlines come and gone. Some teams got better. Some teams didn't. We can talk about that. But before we go into that, there's some big things going on, again, in the issue department that aren't game related, but that are going to affect the league, and they're going to change the playoff picture. And they're going to change the chemistry of a lot of teams. Sometimes things are bigger than sports. And what's going on with Chris Bosh is one of those things. When Shaq was there, I became a Laker fan. I was more of a Shaq fan, but he went to Miami. So I became a Miami fan. And when the Big Three signed up, man, I was all into it. I thought that was a great team. It was in my area. I got to see him play all the time. I was a big fan. But then LeBron left, and Dwayne's gotten older, and, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of lost interest in the Heat. I didn't think they'd be very good. I did, however, laugh and scream at the TV when Chris Bosh didn't go to Houston and make Houston a super team that it would have been, and took the max deal in Miami. Is Chris Bosh a max deal guy? No. But if they're going to offer it, what you going to do? So let's see. Chris is not one of my favorite players. But he did play on one of my favorite teams. But anyway, the thing about that is he has been diagnosed with some sort of blood clot issue that could cost him his life. And like I said on the first show, understand that when I say hate, it's a sports hate, not a real life hate. When I rag on a player, it's a sports thing. When I rag on a team, it's a sports thing. It's not a real life thing. And this thing that's going on with Chris is a real life thing. He's out of the hospital now. They say he's feeling better. but he's still got a road to hoe. But this is real life, and when we're dealing with real life, you just got to know your role, got to contain yourself a little bit. He's not one of my favorite players, but he did play on one of my favorite teams. Chris Bosh, if you're watching this, and I know you are, take care of yourself, brother. Do what the doctors tell you to do. Live to be a rich, tall, old man who's able to take care of your family for a long, long time. Got nothing but love for you. You know, you're truly one of the goofiest bastards I've ever seen. This guy does nothing. You've seen some of the videos of Chris that don't involve basketball. He truly enjoys life and loves them and loves making people laugh. Chris, make people laugh for a long time. Take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. And if we get to see you back on the court, that'd be great. And if not, still take care of yourself. And speaking of things again related to basketball, but again not related to the court, with apologies and a little bit of "I told you so," Derrick Rose is out again with a meniscus injury that required surgery. Derrick is without a doubt one of the best point guards in the league with the supreme ability to lead a team on the basketball court. However, in sports, the most important ability to have is availability. The brother just is not there. And he has been out so much. Ever since he's been drafted, it's been the same story. If Derrick can stay healthy, the Bulls could win a championship. But you can't get through one, Derrick. Can't do it. And he's one of the most talented point guards in a long, long time. He can dish, he can drive, he can shoot, he can score. The thing about him is that he makes the people around him better. But you can't do any of that from the trainer's table or from the bench. His surgery was successful, and they anticipate him coming back in 4 to 6 weeks, and the playoffs start in 7. So maybe he'll be back for the playoffs. But again, year in and year out, it's the same story. I wish him the best. I wish you the best. I'm not sure Derrick listens to the show, but if you do, I wish you the best, Derrick Rose. And even though I'm not a fan of his necessarily, I'm a fan of his talent. I'm not a fan of his. I'm not a fan of the Bulls. But I am getting a little tired of hearing the story of the career that never, that could have been. I just hope this brother can find a way to stay healthy and show the world what he can do, because he can do a lot. Let's stay in basketball for a minute. Let's have some fun. Okay. Speaking of fun, how much fun is it to be a New York Knicks fan right now? Really? Okay. In fact, how much fun has it been to be a New York Knicks fan in, say, I don't know, the last 20 years? Amari Stoudemire off in Denver, or Dallas, sorry, knocking them around. Carmelo Anthony has shut it down for the season. So your two players, adios, baby. And they weren't doing much when those guys were there, and now it's going to be even less. It's if it wasn't the Knicks, it would be sad. But since it is the Knicks, it's just funny to me. Let's take a quick look, just a real quick look. I'm going to check out some numbers here for the New York Knicks. Since 2000, which, believe it or not, is 15 years now. I never thought I'd live to see the year 2000. Here it is 15 years later. Man, I'm old. The New York Knicks have been in the playoffs 5 times. They've only been in the division. They've been the division champion 1 time since 1995, which is forever ago. They have not made a conference final since 2000. They have not been in the NBA finals since 1999. They have only 2 championships, and the last one came in 1973, which was long before most of you guys were born. So when you talk about the proud, historic history of the Knicks, okay. The Knicks are currently in last place in a conference that is so weak that it's going to field probably 2, if not more, sub 500 teams in the playoffs. They are 12-47 in a division where half of the teams in that division would lose to NBA D teams. They say that the league is better when the big cities, have teams that are good. But between New York Knicks and the Los Angeles Lakers, those 2 teams combined couldn't put together a team that could beat Kentucky, who, by the way, is still undefeated, 12 games away from the undefeated season. There's a story we could talk about, but we'll talk about them enough. But the Knicks are just in such disarray and such turmoil and such a waste of time. It's almost ridiculous. Is Phil Jackson going to be able to change any of that? I don't know. I think Phil's finding out that it's a whole lot easier to roll balls out to Scotty and Michael and Shaq and Kobe than it is to take something that from nothing and try to build it up. So either he'll Zen master this thing out, but I think he's already bored. However, part of being bored as a Zen master means you get to go to Kentucky games and watch the good teams play. He was actually at the last Kentucky game Saturday and was there, I guess, trying to pick which one of these guys to come along. You should pick Willie Cauley-Stein if you get a chance. So to see Phil at a college game was pretty cool. All right, that's enough basketball. What are we doing about the NFL? What's going on there? Some big names got released, just released. Let go. See ya. And a team picked up, well, a name. So let's go take a look at some of the ones that got released. Reggie Bush got released. Reggie Bush. Now, Reggie played for the Dolphins for a while, and of course he was a star. He was a star before he got to the Dolphins. We kind of messed him up. Then he went to Detroit and was pretty much starring again. And when I saw that he was released, I thought, my gosh, what the heck are they doing there? The offense their defense is good, but the offense is where the money gets made on these guys. And so I did some searching, did some looking. So let's take a look at Reggie. Like I said, when I first saw this, I thought, man, what a deal! What are they doing? But in 2013, Reggie Bush ran 223 times for 1,006 yards. He also caught 54 passes for 506 and had 7 touchdowns. Not a bad year on a team that features passing as much as Detroit does. In 2014, granted, he was injured. He only played 11 games. And what did I tell you? The best ability is availability. He wasn't there. He ran the ball for 76 times for only 297 yards. He caught 40 passes for 253 yards and a total of 2 touchdowns. What changed? Well, besides being injured, okay, the Lions added Golden Tate to an already pass-heavy offense. So Tate caught 99 passes for 1,331 yards on a team that had an injured Calvin Johnson. Calvin played in 13 games, but he wasn't himself for 3 or 4 games more than that. But even an injured Calvin Johnson is still a threat, so that's why he was out there being able to play. So even with him out there, I mean, he still caught 71 passes for 1,077 yards. That's a lot of passing. The Lions passed 4 times as many yards as they ran. They passed for 4,008. They ran for 1,420. 1,420 total rushing yards from everybody on the roster. And to put that in perspective, DeMarco Murray had 1,850 by himself. So the fact that Detroit has gone so pass heavy and uses even the running backs as a 6th wide receiver, they basically were on that team. Obviously, you wouldn't say the same thing about Dallas, but on that team, they have rendered the running back position pretty much mute, useless, whatever. And when they did that, that coupled with is Reggie going to play the whole season and things like that, that's what made Reggie Bush available to be cut. He's going to be fine. He's going to hook up with another team. He's going to be just fine. Don't you worry about Reggie Bush. Who else got cut? We got another big one got cut. A.J. Hawk got cut from the Green Bay Packers. Now, the thing about defense, it's a little harder to do the defensive stats. I'm having computer problems in case you can't tell. It's a little harder to do the stats with defense because the reason you only made 2 tackles was because you're being double teamed the whole time because the other teams know you're that good. They just got to focus on you. The reason that you only made 1 interception was that you're so good that they just don't even pass your way anymore. Those kind of things. So defensive stats are a little bit harder to come up with and get an accurate assessment of how good you are. Just ask Richard Sherman. He'll always tell you that, the reason that his stats are the way they are is because nobody even comes to his side. So when you look at his stats, I mean, they're great stats, but they're defensive stats. So it doesn't give you that clear view like a running back or quarterback or a wide receiver. But I think, and Green Bay has made some steps up. They're trying to get their defense better. I mean, they've got the offense. They got all the offense they can handle. So now they've been making steps in the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, they were a joke defensively. Last year, they got better. They had some additions. And this year, they're going to keep trying to improve in that area, which it will make them a super team to deal with in 2015. But AJ, 9 years in the league, maybe a step slower, maybe he's just been beat up, maybe he just wants to go. I don't know any of the facts of it, but that's a big name guy to be letting go from a team that's trying to get better on defense. But again, I think AJ is going to be just fine. Don't you worry about him. He's going to sign up with some team and be just fine. In the things that make you go, what the heck? The Cleveland Browns acquired journeyman quarterback. You say it with me, Josh McCown. McCown played for Tampa Bay last year. He played for Chicago the year before that. He's one of those Scott Mitchell types. I don't know if you know who Scott Mitchell is. Scott Mitchell played on the Miami Dolphins. Dan Marino blew out his Achilles tendon. Scott played 4 games at the end of the season. Did really well. Everybody saw that. The Detroit Lions signed him to this mega contract, and then Scott found out who Scott Mitchell really was, and it was a bust. All right, and I think that Josh was always that backup guy, who has some talent in Chicago, and they just knew if he could just get him in there. Well, they did get him in there for 9 games, and he played well and everything, and that got him a starting job at Tampa Bay. So that's when I say journeyman, that's pretty much what you're looking at. We also know that the Browns have had about 33 starting quarterbacks in the last 25 minutes. I think they just signed another one, and now they've added another big name to that spectacular echelon of quarterbacks that can't even say that out loud. The Browns finished sub 500 last year and dead last in their division, and all they did by picking up Josh McCown is assure that they're pretty much going to do the same thing next year. McCown was 1-10 with Tampa Bay, and I know what you're saying, dude. It was Tampa Bay; they suck. I get it, but Tampa Bay's in the NFC South, where the entire division, even the team that went to the playoffs, Carolina, and won a game, the entire division was sub 500. And Tampa Bay could only muster 2 wins in a division that's that bad. They can only get 2 wins. And Josh McCown wasn't even the quarterback for one of those. On a team that featured both Brian, damn, we thought he was better than this, Hoyer, and drafted Johnny Manziel, they have added a 1-win guy who has shown that he's a capable backup, but he's not the kind of quarterback stud you need in this league, where 4,220 yards from Matt Stafford gets you a career low in passing yardage. Josh McCown's just not that guy, and the Browns don't have that kind of offense around him to be that guy. Good luck with this, Browns. Good luck with this pick. And where this comes to be a problem for me is that you've shown once again that for some reason more loyal and dedicated than fans of most teams, you've shown your fans that you're content to be mediocre again. Quick closing note. I know you're happy to hear that. Excuse me. Well, in case I die, quick closing note. Quick closing note, though. I did mention Johnny Manziel. And again, the sports hate, thing. I hate Johnny Manziel. I think he is just an overrated joke of a quarterback. And if he never steps foot on the NFL field again, I'm good with that. However, Johnny has put himself in rehab. He's evidently trying to get his life together, which is tough for a young man with all the things that are coming his way. But I applaud him for that. And Johnny, I know you watch the show, even though I dog you. Take care of yourself, man. Get through the rehab. Understand that this is real life stuff, and that's what we need to take care of. So I wish you nothing but the best. Hope it works out for you. But, brother, and I should never use those 2 words together, I guess. However, brother, if you do get on the field and you do this show me the money crap again, I'm going to be all over you, man. YouTube's going to be blowing up. All right? So anyway, take care of yourself. Get well. And play smart. All right, guys, that's about it for now. Again, if you have any comments, you can comment on the YouTube page. You can also reach me at charlie.india@yahoo.com. This is episode 2 wrapping up. Episode 3 will probably be on. We're going to try to do these, like I said, Friday or Saturday, of the week following what's going on. So this is one. We'll do another one Friday. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Don't hit women. Take care of yourself. Get out there and play some. Have a good time. And this is Charlie India trying to sign out. And here we go.